The Fuentes Journals. My name is Gabriel Fuentes. I worked for the United States government as a lawyer for DARPA, or the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, and was a network officer at the Central Intelligence Agency. I'm sharing my story for those who might not know about something that helped lead the Cold War to an end, about what my job was like, and I wanted to send a message to everyone interested. Currently based in Sweden, I have to fear extradition 24/7 as a whistleblower. I was chosen to be a part of MKUltra, a CIA program, almost by coincidence. They probably saw my potential, resisting turning into someone I didn't want to be. What I do remember, I struggled to put into words. I can't talk about everything. The extent of the work I did for the government is still mostly classified, although my focus is to outline the truth as much as possible. This story is based on actual events. I don't hurt innocent people. For the enemy, I do have respect for them, but I will never support them. There's a fine line between good and evil. Some would call it a gray area. My official position was in a law firm helping government lobbyists get their ideas through Congress. Some special cases came up lately, especially concerning mass surveillance. A popular political argument was about intelligence gathering and some of its conceptual limitations that security and privacy must coexist. The phone rang. It was my paralegal, wondering if I would accept a call from Hewitt and Blanche, another nearby law firm. Hi, it's Harvey with Hewitt and Blanche. I'm calling about going forward with these new contracts. Man, these guys are the ones to look out for. He was talking about the National Security Agency, NSA, who employed a distinguished legal team from DARPA. Increasing surveillance capabilities to meet national security needs of targeting terrorist activity, while maintaining people's privacy, became a complex and controversial topic for lawmakers. The NSA employs DARPA to double-check their work, to make sure their legislative proposals are not only feasible, but meet political and relevant parameters. The National Security Council NSC members want to sway the majority. Democrats thought that the scope of targeted audiences being surveilled did not match national security interests. The NSC adopted a bill that offered more funding of government spying on its own citizens. WikiLeaks' Julian Assange and Edward Snowden, through whistleblower activity, presented some formidable obstacles, including casualties of military troops, the obtaining of classified information by hostile actors, and the spreading of disinformation. Documents about wiretapping, cybersecurity watchdogs, and even X-ray vans and gunshot triangulation networks have been released. Many field experts thought that the declassifying system was led by government insiders leaking information that deserved secrecy. Amid political motivations, this was just a taste of this national security debate. NSA, of course, has strict and specific guidelines for sharing information, especially when it's classified. Hiring private lawyers just didn't work because of liability issues. No government wouldn't fully endorse a private practice for many reasons, but mainly for reputation. Trusting a third party to help run the government was risky, and it created a controversy. When the NSA hired Hewitt and Blanche, my job got more complicated. My colleagues and I preyed on politicians thwarting government law. Some turned the other cheek, ignored what was going on, and a political no man's land was born. Not many people knew about DARPA's dark side. The United States government's black budget, a program utilized by the Department of Defense to boost military spending, was nothing but aided by the Republican majority in Congress. One particular project started by Skunkworks was named MKUltra and was spearheaded also by the CIA. The specifics of the program were classified, but it would turn into the pinnacle of clandestine government operations to dismantle nuclear weapons proliferation around the world. A barbaric experiment was created, subjecting unwitting targets to psychological warfare techniques. The targets were chosen for their character traits and what was thought of as general aptitude for missions. Psychedelics really needed research, so they had a central influence in the experimentation. They were administered LSD, psilocybin, and ketamine. High doses in combination had effects such as memory loss, hallucinations, and delusions. I was told I had the ideal makeup of a clandestine operative or a recruit. The selection process chose a diversity of people with unique backgrounds. I grew tired of the repetitive and slow-moving motions to govern the mass surveillance of the world's citizens. My thinking was that it would get me out from behind the desk and into a more adventurous position. No compensation or official cover was given, which meant that I would be volunteering to fulfill crucial objectives without any attachment to any government body. The participants and I were deemed recruits, and training started with drug trials, a myriad of tests and evaluations that probed us for our weaknesses. Personal trauma served us more easily with the doses that were administered. I was haunted by the turmoil of some serious stuff. It was classified. The trainers had no names, no titles, and kept all conversations strictly about training. I had a plan in mind. I had to tell people. The war on drugs was completely stupid after going through so many trials. And I, among others, lost grip on reality. This derealization and dissociation had implications that erased our memories of training, albeit imperfectly. Everyone had flashbacks of some sort. The drugs were strong. I had amnesia of my real identity and what type of asset I had become. My recollection of past events, especially recent ones, was spotty. I just couldn't remember things. My first mission was intriguing to me. I was given the task of finding out where a Russian missile assembly plant was located and confirming the presence of nuclear warheads. Intelligence officials had seen missile-building materials being shipped across Russia from multinational vendors. And even more suspicious was the Iranian warheads packed with plutonium gone missing. At first, it seemed impossible. The status for the arms race was unstable. The aim was to be big and tumultuous to avoid another world war. Alone, I parachuted down in a remote part of northern Russia and thought about what exactly was ahead of me. A metal detector was effective to find a mine shaft that led to an underground military base, and it was without a doubt in my mind that I was in the right place. The guards had camouflage uniforms and walked the patrols methodically. I had to be invisible. I timed the patrols and found a window to get the intel. There was a nearby overgrown road, and I followed it to where it cleared out more. In my pack, I had some water, a radio beacon, my newly acquired hard drive full of information about their nuclear weapons program, and a wad of cash in Russian rubles. A logging truck was passing through, and I hailed it down. They told me they would accept 500 rubles to ride along to Kiev in Ukraine. I agreed and got in. Once I arrived, I bought a room at an inn for the night and turned on my radio beacon. The hope was that somehow a rescue team would find me amidst tensions between the world's superpowers and an unsympathetic border control. It was war, induced by the greed of man and the hegemonic goals of the Axis and Allied. Power comes in interesting forms. There's the power to create, but also to destroy. Destructive capabilities for some reason or another got ranked on a world chart. The number of active nuclear missiles in each country's stockpile became a symbol of control and a means to destroy the planet. I was collected by other recruits. There was evidence of what was considered wrongdoing by way of peace treaties with Allied partners. We had new orders to pick up equipment from a drop site and infiltrate the missile plant again to take back the nuclear weapons. Though we succeeded in retrieving the weapons and destroying their research, our attack was just another move in a giant figurative game of chess. Needless to say, the enemy wasn't entirely deterred. They retaliated by continuing to stockpile against anyone's better interest. The mission bought time to better border security, a national defense, and certainly quelled worries for Iran and the United States. My next mission was teaming up with military-embedded journalists in an effort to basically increase the military budget. Generally, military operations were kept secret, although some sources reported whatever they could get their hands on. Journalists had protection, comprised mainly of private security contractors. I was part of that protection and would accompany them to people we called contacts. Some happened to be whistleblowers. Reports about a critical blow to Russian nuclear stockpiles flooded the media. I was glad no one knew why. I had been told by my superiors that I shouldn't worry about any repercussions, and they were adamant that I continue training. Exaggerating the number of battlefield casualties for both sides was common. Lobbyists sought these journalists, whom I escorted, to publish their stories and to create political pressure. Leaking classified information intrigued me. I was uncovering the truth. But after being chased by a moment government for so long, being a whistleblower is not something I would recommend. No one could control my desire to leave the program. Maybe it was against my better interest. The training was unrelenting and the missions were growing into something entirely different in those days. I wanted freedom from endless threats of an apocalypse, and to be out from under the thumb of those seeking to extradite me. The world is broken in my eyes, and my hope is that people know more about what's happening beneath the surface of things.